We are online. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining in today. We got really exciting news and announcements and discussions today that we want to talk about. Obviously, you're joining here because you saw some excitement that we were trying to brew up, and really just some details of a new product, two new products actually, that TimeZest has been working on for the past couple months. I am Jason Casuga. I'm the senior product manager here over at TimeZest. Really, what I'm responsible for is really just the product launch of this thing. So we've gone through, again, many months of discovery, of understanding what this product is about. I helped with leading up the various teams and getting them all excited about it, so then we can get excited and bring it and launch it to you all here in the next couple of months or so. Just wanted to bring that up and really just showcase with my colleague here, Don, to kind of talk about that. We wanted to really just have a nice conversation with you all to really talk about the background and really the observations of what we've seen here with the push and pull model. That's what we're going to be talking about here in a second. But Don, if you can you introduce yourself? Give us a little bit about you. You've gone through this office hours before.
Yep.
Wouldn't hurt to reintroduce yourself so that anybody new may be able to recognize and start to understand who you are.
Yeah, for sure. Don Quarles. I'm a customer success engineer here with TimeZest. Like Jason said, this is, I don't know, fourth, fifth, maybe sixth office hour at this point, and they're fun. I love doing them. Obviously, we don't have Joe on this one. Joe is not here today, so Jason and I are running this one together. But yeah, no, looking forward to the conversation and love what we have to show and where we got to with the new products.
Not to scare everybody. She's okay. She's just marrying her kid right now. Her kid is getting married. She's taking a couple of weeks off, so we're taking her place. Joe, hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's all nice and happy through this marriage. So there could have been a couple of people like, what's going on?
Yeah,
she's a popular colleague here within the company. So glad she's able to take some time off. So yeah, that's thanks, Don, for that introduction. We again, we wanted to talk about this. Can you mind sharing your slide here, Don? I want to bring that up and really just talk about not just myself. Let's bring Don into play here. So yeah, Don, what we've been working on here in the past couple of months, again, is just really focusing on the dispatcher standpoint. That's what this slide is about. That's the only slide, to be honest. That's all we wanted to share with you all, just to set the stage and have you get a visual of what we were trying to do here. What we wanted to focus here is, the overall service tickets journey. We wanted to set the stage of where we're at with it today. You're familiar with how TimeZest scheduling comes into play. In terms of the tickets journey, what we're trying to envision here is, all right, service ticket gets created. It's in your system and within your PSA. You go through the normal progression of trying to get that service ticket triaged, curated, getting it ready for the team to start working on. The next phase of it is when a service ticket gets essentially assigned out, distributed to your team to say, okay, I understand who needs to work this kind of ticket. I understand what kind of skill set that they have, because they have the experience in it, obviously. They worked on this kind of ticket in the past. They've also have the availability. They're free to work on this service ticket. So that's the reason why we have that process, or just that understanding of somebody who has that responsibility, specifically the dispatcher. And that's where TimeZest scheduling comes into play. And again, that's what you all are familiar with today, where a service ticket, once it gets assigned out, or if it's ready to be assigned, we can use TimeZest scheduling to be able to coordinate with the client to say, okay, are you free? Here's my availability, because I'm a resource on that service ticket. So, present to you what time slots do I have on my calendar, so then the customer myself can start working on and really meet this appointment, so we can get that service ticket resolved as quickly as possible. Now, going through those phases, the triage, the ticket dispatch, and the scheduling, we wanted to do those three aspects together and kind of put it all into a single package so that the movement flows freely as much as we can, with the most amount of detail possible, making it down to the engineer or the technician's calendar, so then we can get to the resolution much more quickly. Don, how did you experience that bit with your previous experience before joining TimeZest? How did that come about? That was a common thing. That was like a normal progression. I mean, of course, there's some edge use cases and stuff like that, but confirm on that, right? That's how you handle your day to day. Lots of tickets throughout the day, right?
Yeah. We, for those that didn't know, I came from an MSP before coming here to TimeZest, and I was there for just about 10 years. And, I started as a level 1 and, took most of the calls and worked a lot of the tickets, and eventually moved up into a level 2 role. And then, eventually took over the management of the team, eventually sliding into a service manager role. So, as part of that, I also helped dispatch and ran the dispatch role. Went through dispatchers often. It's a role that does have turnover, whether it be promotions internally or turnover and move on from the company. So we went through a few during my time, and I had to sit in that role quite often. And for those that haven't sat in it, it's a pain of a role. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of communication flowing, and a lot of things you have to worry about and think about on a day to day. And to your point, Jason, yeah, exactly. Dispatcher owns that. The moment the ticket comes in, they own that ticket until it gets closed. Obviously, they lean on the techs to do the tech work and make sure the notes and whatnot are in there. But at the end of the day, they're still responsible to make sure the techs are doing what they're supposed to do. They're responsible to make sure the techs are on the right tickets that they need to be on for their skill set. They're ensuring the customers communicated on the tickets. And if it's a P1 issue, a high priority issue, they're following up with the customers and they're keeping them in the loop of issues. So it's a high stress job, and there's a lot of moving parts, like I said. And from our perspective, triage, dispatch, and scheduling is a core, focus and need for the dispatch role.
Yeah. Not only that, it's just the ongoing distractions too. Phone calls, emails coming in, chatter from,
shoulder taps,
exactly, from above and below the organizational chart. Everybody reaching out to say, "Hey, what's going on with this ticket? What's happening?" Stuff like that. So, I mean, it is. You're right. It is a very stressful position. It's very high reactive, highly, how do you say it? Fast moving, fast paced position that does require a lot of attention, a lot of detail. Because we don't want these tickets to be falling through the cracks and potentially being missed, especially if you have SLAs with your clients. You got to get to them as quickly as possible. Yeah. You got some VIPs out there. You've got some very important services that you guys are hosting for your clients. Can't go down. And then you get the little stuff, implementations, as simple as a replacement of a mouse, right? Things like that need to be organized and distributed, because those higher important tickets got to be addressed much more quickly than something of a simple, hey, I just need a quick reboot or a little scan of my hard drives, something like that. Not as important. So let's talk about that again now, Don. Moving into that next conversation of, the concept of how those service tickets were addressed or really distributed to the team. A lot of times we've seen this before in the past, many years in the MSP space. Don, I mean, I don't want you to show your age, but you've been within the MSP industry for quite some time. I'm okay with that. I've been in the industry for like 19 years. Back in 07 when the mobile phones just started to come out. It's like they're pretty new, and the apps in itself were kind of aged back then. So it's like it just that progression itself. Service tickets were distributed more of a what we're going to call it a push model. Let's start with that conversation, that verbiage, the push model, right? And so this is the slide that we're talking about. Or basically back in the day, when even before that, when service tickets were more of a break fix situation, they would just come into some kind of call queue or whatever on paper, physical paper, where essentially the work was just distributed to the team. In this case, Mike, Sarah, Dave, Tony, Lisa. They're needing to be put on a white paper. I'm sorry, on a post-it note to say, here's the issue, here's the client's information, whatnot. I'm going to put it basically on a whiteboard, physical whiteboard, to say, okay, get to this, Mike. All right, here's the next ticket. Sarah, I need you to work on this one at this time, and so forth. So just basically we're pushing the service ticket out. And that's where we believe that the advent of um, many of these PSAs that have more of a dispatching system basically spawned from that, where it's more of an electronic version of, hey, let me see what this ticket is. I'm going to pre-process it. I'm just going to distribute it to the team. I'm going to drag that service ticket on to somebody's calendar, basically assign them to that service ticket, and they can work on it just like they normally would, putting in their time, notes, changing statuses, all the normal stuff. And with the advent of other integrations out there, just like TimeZest, we're able to tap into other systems, RMM tools, backup solutions, password reset solutions, stuff like that. It goes from the ticket. We can actually work on it all the way up to resolution.
Yep.
Right?
And that's exactly what we had. When we were pushing tickets to the techs, dispatcher would come through and triage the ticket and make sure all the information is right on the ticket, and we understand the scope and work needed for each issue. And then they were just simply pushing the ticket to the tech that is best suited for the issue. We tried our best to what we like to call paint the day green, right? Paint the day green means fill up someone's calendar and they're fully aware of what they're going to work on for that day. We did our best to do that. I'm not going to say it was great. So we pushed tickets to the techs and they just kind of worked tickets as they could, or we put it on their calendar and try to get things assigned and scheduled out as much as we could. But it wasn't great. We had issues with that and some pitfalls, but we made it work.
What were they? What were there some of those issues? Let me take a stab at it. Let me see. Some emergency comes in, right?
Yeah.
It completely haywires everything.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's the number one issue that push brings, right? The moment you push all the tickets to techs or fill out their calendar with all the items, the moment a P1 issue or high priority issue comes in, what do you do with all the other tickets that already are assigned or already are scheduled? You have to move them around, and that's what the dispatcher has to do. Again, it's not great. You're going to communicate a lot, and that's what we did. Teams was our friend in that sense. Dispatcher would communicate to techs like, hey, you have this ticket scheduled for 10 o'clock. I need you to move that to 11 or 12 or whatever it might be, because we had to get you on this P1 issue that just came into the door. So there was a lot of movement, but yeah, that was definitely the top issue that we had.
Yeah, and it happens. Of course, it's never going to be perfect, but you've done something different, or you try to dabble in a little bit different of a different model out there. What we're introducing here, as you can see on the right-hand side, the pull method. For those that don't understand or haven't had that experience before, what do you define pull, Don?
Yeah, so
ticket distribution.
Good question. So pull, is just simply dispatcher, coordinator, team lead, whoever is doing the triaging of the tickets and making sure all the information is right. But then all they're simply doing is either moving those tickets onto a board or a queue or a list of, all the tickets that need to be worked. And then your technicians then pull the ticket when they can pull it, right? And we had that set up with what we called quick fix. So all of our low level, level 1 type issues went to a quick fix status, and all of our level 1s would pull a ticket from that status. And it worked. It was decent. And we had it set up. They would grab the oldest ticket on the board. But in that case, one issue that we ran into, the oldest quick fix ticket wasn't necessarily the best ticket for that next tech available, or it wasn't the right priority that they needed to be worked in. And again, they're low priorities, but there's still some priority setting that has to happen there, which wasn't happening in our case. So again, pull is another method that we had some hybrid doing, and we still had some pitfalls there as well.
Yeah, right. And how that alleviates that issue that we were talking about with push. And if an emergency comes in, you simply just slot that emergency ticket into this listing. And then whenever somebody's available, or you just basically tell the team, hey, pull the next ticket. Boom, there it is. It gets assigned to them. Their existing service ticket list doesn't get affected, because ideally they'd want to have a clear queue of service tickets to handle. So that they can basically call it a conveyor belt, right? So it's just someone to grab a ticket, work it, close it, work on the next one, and so forth. So that's kind of the concept of what we feel is kind of the way to go. Now, Don, you agree, right? That, like, it doesn't matter. It's like both are ideal for this situation. It depends on you. Basically, pick your poison,
Yeah.
right? But these are the two methods of what we feel is the right way to be able to distribute service tickets.
Correct. Yeah. Again, both have pros, both have cons. At end of day though, these are the two methods you have, and I sit on a lot of prospect calls, and I hear kind of a split bag from everyone I talk to. Some people are doing push with a dispatcher, some are doing push without a dispatcher. Some people are doing pull with a dispatcher, some are doing pull without a dispatcher, right? So everyone's doing it different, but everyone is doing one of these two methods that you see on the screen.
Yeah, one way or the other. And so that's kind of like the discussion of what we figured and what we discovered is like, all right, what could we do? Like in the previous slide that you had, the dispatch assistant. Okay, let's talk about that one for a second, and how we came as a company to decide that that's what we want to call our product, or really describe our product in terms of assisting a dispatcher in what they do. And so with a push model, it's a lot of work because they have to use that brain compute power to do the distribution of the service tickets. We're trying to alleviate that. We're trying to relieve them from having to do that responsibility. Let me take a step back, because now in the tickets journey, they also have to do the ticket triage. They have to set up the service ticket to be with the right service board. They got to figure out the right type, subtype, and item, or issue type, sub-issue type, and whatnot. They've got to be able to set the right agreement on the service ticket. What else? Budget hours is another thing. If you guys are using that, there's a lot of things that you have to do individually on a service ticket, and it could take minutes. For a really good person, it just takes a few minutes. That's fine. Multiply that by however many tickets you have a day. Multiply that by times a week. I mean, that kind of adds up, right? That's a lot of time that gets taken away from the other distractions. Tapping on the shoulders, reaching out to customers, reaching out to the team, stuff like that. They got to focus on this ticket triage as well as the ticket distribution. That it's like, how can we get rid of that? Like, how do we remove that responsibility so that the dispatcher can actually do bigger and better stuff? Right. They got to do these things day in and day out. Oh, here's another. What happens if that dispatcher calls out for the day?
Never happens.
It never happens, right? They never call out. Yeah.
Oh, it happens. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's where you got to take over, right, Don? As a service manager in your previous life, that's what you had to do. Either you delegated it to somebody else, or if the team is small, you had to do it.
Yep. 100%.
So the consistency there could have been missing, possibly. If we lose that individual because they wanted to move on up the chain or just move away from the company or whatever, just that tribal knowledge is what's sacrificed at that point. So again, you're going to kind of lose a little bit of time in having to delegate somebody else to handle that. So that was another focus for what we were trying to do with this ticket triage as well as ticket dispatching here within our product. Okay. I kind of want to stop right there 1 second to see if there's any chats. We can leave it up here if we need to. I just want to move over into the different screen to see if we have any. And I'll be honest, I haven't touched with this chat thing in a while because Joe, since she's the main user of this platform, she's really good with that. Okay, so we don't have any chat, so that's cool. I think we're answering a lot of the questions already, so that's great. But any audience members, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask at any point in time. Don and I are here to help out and answer it. And it doesn't have to be. This is an open office hours. We're just talking about Dispatch HQ and what our product is. If you guys have any questions about TimeZest scheduling or just anything and everything about TimeZest, we're here to help you out. So let's move on. So talking about the push and pull model, that's a really great discussion, or really just a thing for you to think about. If anybody out there who hasn't really thought about, the pain points, what they're experiencing today, we always suggest to think that through. Anything and everything you do within your business process needs to be improved at some point. And so we kind of, have heard this with a few interviews that we had, Don is included as well, where a lot of times, some customers that are saying to us, like, we just didn't even know that it was a problem. Right? It works. Why change it? And we always want to make sure that there is always an opportunity for you to be able to explore that. Think about that. Look at your process. of the service tickets journey at the three phases we're talking about, the triage, ticket dispatch, and scheduling, does it make sense to revisit it? Is your team suffering in any way that an improvement, even at a 1% improvement, can definitely help in any way possible to make your client's experience even better? So something to think about. I'm not trying to push that. It's just more of like, we want to make sure that you are thinking that through, if that's your position on how you can improve your efficiency. Certainly something to think about.
Yeah, it's coming up on Q4. I don't know about the folks on the call today, but we at the MSP I came from, we reviewed our tool set every year, and we usually did that at the end of the year and try to figure out what tools we had and what tools we wanted to look at the next year. Maybe do the same thing with processes, right? When we talk push versus pull, maybe now's a good chance to review what you guys have set up. Is it push? Is it pull? Does it make sense to look at changing? Does it make sense to structure things differently? Q4 could be a good opportunity for that.
And on that, it just came to my mind, thinking about process, thinking about improvement. I don't mean to make a plug on it, but we're actually going to be at IT Nation over in Orlando in November, Q4, right? So we're going to be presenting. So there's going to be a lot of these discussions, topics, and stuff like that we're bringing up. That's going to be really focusing on that process improvement within this dispatching piece. The journey itself of these three phases we're talking about. That's the theme, the three phases here. And so we're going to be doing that. The past couple of years, 2 years, we've gone over at IT Nation to talk and present about our products and stuff like that, and more of a consulting side about how things of what we feel is best practice and what we wanted to do. Don's going to be there. I'll be there. We're going to be having some good topics and good conversations with the audience who's going to be able to attend and talk about that. So if that's something you want to think about, to put in your mind, again, Q4 is coming up. If you got to do some process improvement and you are going to be able to make it to IT Nation in November, come visit us. Did not mean to put the plug there, but I did it.
It's all right.
So,
it's all right.
Yeah, it all happens. All right. What else, Don? We said this. We didn't have a script. We put this in our marketing. We don't have a script. We're just going off of what we think here. Our slide marathon, what we put in our LinkedIn post, 2 slides. So I think that was a good thing here. I guess let me just show what's going on with the new product here. So
perfect.
Let's do that. Let me bring to the stage here. Couple screens in the introduction of Dispatch HQ. This is our newest product. Two products within this line here. So let me just set the stage again. We have TimeZest scheduling, which y'all are familiar with today. Dispatch HQ, which covers two areas: the triage and the ticket dispatch. All right. So let's go over the scenario real quick with myself being logged in as a dispatcher in this case. I'm going through the ticket triage at this point. I had to let go of my other responsibilities that I have to do because I know new service tickets have come in. We have an SLA to respond within a certain amount of time. So we got to get to these as quickly as possible. So that's what we're presenting here is just a list of service tickets that are basically considered new, hasn't been touched by anybody, needs to be adjusted and curated right away. And again, taking advantage of the AI systems that are out there today. That's the thing. That's like the big fad nowadays. I don't want to call it a fad, but that's the popular thing that's happening today. And so what we're trying to do is also take advantage of that by letting the AI system do its best to be able to make suggestions on the service ticket. We're relieving the need for a dispatcher or somebody who's doing this triage process to give me more context right away. The client in this example submitted a service ticket with a decent summary line, something good, but the AI system was also to give potentially something better. And also, too, the summary line of the description of the service ticket could have been a nice lengthy email. I don't really need to be able to read the entire ticket to be able to gain context. What we're trying to do is let the AI system basically give that summary, a quick little synopsis of what's going on with the ticket, so then I, as a dispatcher, can have immediate context and understanding of what the service ticket needs to be. So this is where we're letting an AI system do that to be able to see what's going on. Now, as you can see, also too, I have the system be able to make those suggestions with a certain level of confidence to say, okay, the service ticket should belong to this board after it gets triaged. It needs to be set with this status. It needs to be set with this type, subtype, and item, and so forth. As you can see, I didn't really click on anything. I just opened up the service ticket and the system already made these suggestions for me. I'm good. I don't need anything else to do. So I'm basically just going to save these changes. I'm not going to do it here because I want to use this ticket for another scenario. But basically, that's all I need to do. I clicked into the ticket, looked into it, and within seconds, I already have the context and I already have suggestions on what the service ticket should be set with. So basically, all I need to do is just be able to save the changes. Another thing here too, a nice little factor that we need to put in here is eligibility. We understand that we want to be able to establish who would be best fit to work these kinds of service tickets, because I'm going to start alluding to the fact that we're trying to introduce the pool model here. And so we want to be able to show you as a dispatching person or somebody who's doing the triage, the system is basically setting up a skill set profile of your individual technicians. And then based off of that skill set, we're presenting to them here to say, these are the eligible technicians who should be best working this kind of ticket moving forward. And also to being able to send out a TimeZest scheduling request right at the beginning, right? So we're talking about the journeys here. Beginning of the phase of a brand new service ticket, we can potentially think about sending out a TimeZest request right here versus having to wait before it gets assigned out to the technician for them to send out the request. Can we get an appointment booked when this service ticket gets triaged versus having to wait? So can we get that time to resolution much more down to a more manageable level, or even a faster response time is what we're trying to accomplish here, right? So any commentary here, Don? I don't expect anything, but I mean, that's basically what we're trying to do is, again, quick, snappy, make these suggestions, get the context as much as quickly as possible, and then save on to the next tickets you can triage.
Just to reiterate with us and the direction we've taken this, we still want your dispatcher to be involved here, which is why we put confidence scores so your dispatcher can easily see how confident we are for each of the items as our AI is trying to make recommendations. And it's easy enough for your dispatcher to come in and say, no, I don't think this is supposed to go to the support board. Let me go ahead and actually put it on the right board that it needs to be, and then save the changes. And then our AI is going to learn from that and then make those better adjustments in the future. Right. So again, just to make sure that's clear, like your dispatcher has the override power if they still need it right from the screen.
Yep, very important, because we understand AI is never going to be. We want it to be perfect. It can get up, we believe it can get up to, 100% confidence, but or accuracy, if you will. But at this point, we don't want to take that chance. We don't want a system to automatically triage a service ticket incorrectly, which can have a domino effect in the overall resolution time. Because if we got to go back and change settings, it accidentally got assigned to the wrong person because it was a wrong skill set that it figured out, things like that. We understood that, so we wanted to make sure that this still had some human touch at the end of the day for it to be processed in order to get to the next phase of ticket dispatch. Cool. All right. Let's go on to the next one. So assume we close out all of not close out. We clear out this triage piece because all of the tickets that came in, again, simple clicking to just get it all cleared out and get it ready to go.
Jason.
Oh, yep.
Sorry to cut you off. Just another thing just to highlight here. You'll see the button to open the ticket in the PSA, right? We made that clear. You're still one click away from getting into the ticket, right? Like the one thing we hear, it is another dashboard, another window that people have to be in. We understand that, but we wanted to make sure it's easy enough to get into the ticket. So if someone has to get there, it's one click away.
Right. Yep. All right. Cool. We can always come back if something else comes to mind of what we want to talk about. So let's go on to the next phase of the ticket dispatch. So again, we triaged all the service tickets that we could. We're not distributing, we're not pushing the service tickets out to the team. We're not putting it onto the calendars to say, hey, work on this, work on this, work on this, and stuff like that. We wanted to present to you this is a stack ranking of unassigned service tickets that are basically stack ranked based off of the SLA, the priority, the status of the service ticket, the context of the service ticket, among other things. We wanted to be able to let the AI system be able to make calculations to do its best to be able to organize unassigned service tickets in this fashion so that we can address, as a human, as a dispatcher, my responsibility now, instead of pushing those service tickets out to the respective team members and using my brain power to figure out who's best skilled to do so, my job essentially now, or responsibility, not my entire job, my responsibility at this point is really just to organize these service tickets in a stack ranked positioning so that whenever the technicians are ready to start working tickets, they can pull from this stack ranking that I've organized as the dispatcher. Now, as you can imagine, that alleviates a lot of work because, as Don was saying, and how he was describing his dispatcher's day, being able to push those service tickets, 10, 20 in a day or whatnot. I mean, not in a day, but just in a session, things can go haywire to where that service ticket needs to be reassigned to somebody else. An emergency comes in, so I got to pull all of those service tickets out, just rip it and replace and all that. Now I have a single location of where my rip and replace basically is, my organization is. And then this is the conveyor belt for the technicians to be able to grab based off of what they're eligible to do so. Okay. So if I had some kind of emergency, if I'm, a client calls in and says, hey, this service ticket 4762 got, this user just really needs my help. They're just jacked up right now. I have the capability to be able to reorganize this listing of stack ranked service tickets. I'm basically overriding what the AI suggested. And at this point, because I'm doing this reorganization, this reshuffling, that's all I need to do. I just need to keep an eye out on this and making sure that the right service ticket's going to be served up to them. At the same time, I also have the eligibility to say, for example, these three individuals were suggested by the AI system, again, because the AI system automatically created the skill set and understood who these three were to be able to work this kind of ticket. I can always add somebody else or remove somebody else because they didn't really fit the bill to be able to work this, or maybe this person's out or whatnot. I always have that capability to be able to reorganize and just reshuffle not only the deck of service tickets, but also to who's eligible to work this kind of service ticket here. Now, when it comes to the service ticket pooling, it's going to be based off of the person who is pulling the next, right? So we've got three individuals who are considered eligible. It's one of these three who are most available next who's going to be able to grab this service ticket to start working on. Right. So as you can see, full as much ticket details as possible, it's here if you can see. And what Don mentioned earlier, you can always pull up that service ticket and view more details if you wanted to. And as you can see, we're sprinkling in a lot of TimeZest scheduling within the different pages because we understand you can, throughout the different parts of the journey, you can always send out a TimeZest request at any time to be able to schedule an appointment. You don't have to for every single service ticket, but it is always going to be available for you to do. All right. So let me move into the technician standpoint. Comments here, Don. Was there anything else that you came to think about that the audience needs to hear about?
No, you hit everything. I think the only other thing I'd say, again, ideally your dispatcher shouldn't have to adjust the list, right? Like, just to reiterate, our AI is going to organize this the way it needs to be. But again, they have the override power if they have to adjust it at any point.
Yep. Okay, so let's look at it as a technician standpoint. So I want to get that in a different browser here because I wanted to show you what that's going to look like. So in this case, I am logged in as this technician, Isaiah. Okay, so as you can see, we kind of split it up into various parts. Wanted to showcase the calendar on the right-hand side, and that's kind of the thing that we're trying to do. Really, we're trying to instill that is that a calendar isn't meant for a task list. And that's what the push model and really the distribution of what service tickets have always been for many, many years, is using the calendar to be able to really put in a list order of what tickets need to be addressed and whatnot. So that kind of takes away from the need to be able to understand what service tickets are addressable to work on versus what's an actual appointment that I need to attend. So that can kind of get a little bit murky, a little bit confusing. So here in this goal, and what we're trying to envision is that the calendar is just that. It's meant for appointments only. So as you can see, I'm blocking off my calendar for a lunch session, as well as my one-on-one with Dale, whoever that is, and also to a TimeZest schedule appointments if there were any. And then lastly, other service tickets here that got assigned if I just needed to address and start working on a specified date and time. And as you can see, I've got other areas that I need to work on, what I'm assigned to, what I need to be working on as well. So if I had my queue, my list of service tickets that I've got to be able to work on, I already have it here. I don't need to look at, other areas to be able to see my service tickets that are addressable and needing to be worked. And also too, anything else that's considered waiting, what's on hold, things like that. That's not addressable by me because I can't do anything about it. So we wanted to be able to separate that out so then you can have a nicer view of what needs to be addressed sooner versus stuff that's just basically on hold that doesn't need to be worked on. And lastly, right here, this is the big thing. That's what we're trying to push here as well. It is the grab next ticket option for the individual to be able to grab the ticket because I'm free. As you can see, my one-on-one is ending so it's assumed that it's 2:00 right now. And I'm freed up. So I got this full hour. I've got only one ticket in my queue that's actionable. I can kind of get away with it. I don't really need to work on that right now. So let me go ahead and select this grab next service ticket for the system to be able to do its thing, to be able to run its analysis because I, as Isaiah, needed to. I have my certain skill set that I need to work on. I'm going to go ahead and grab the service ticket. It's going to do its thing to be able to look at that stack ranking. And then now it just served me up a new service ticket and it's assigned to me so I can start working on and do my thing like I normally would. So I don't have to ask the dispatcher, hey, I need a free ticket, right? I don't need to go into other forms or out there to be able to look and cherry pick a service ticket that might potentially not be as important that needs to be addressed as quickly. I also don't need to look into a queue of other service tickets that other team members are working on that might not have my skill set, right? All I need to do is just simply select this button and the system's going to serve me up that next service ticket to be able to work on. I can open it up in the PSA to do our normal thing, look at the other integrations and other products that I'm using to resolve the ticket, obviously put in my time, notes, and stuff like that, closing out the service ticket as I normally would. But essentially here inside of Dispatch HQ, we're here to serve up that next service ticket so then we can try to get through that stack ranking as soon as we can, get it down to a manageable level as soon as we can.
Yeah, and just to kind of full circle this conversation, right? The pull method, we designed this with guardrails because we know cherry picking is the top issue that people that do pull today face. In this example, as you can see on this page, your tech doesn't see that list. Your tech doesn't know the next ticket they're gonna get. They just get the ticket that they're most eligible for, and then they're required to work it. So that's that guardrail piece that we've designed and built, and why we feel pull is kind of a better approach to the method than push because of the way we have it set up.
But we didn't completely eliminate that though. So we just wanted to let y'all know. I mean, it still exists. So we've got this force assign option. So if you needed to push a service ticket, say it's a great emergency, nobody's free, but I know who needs to work on this. We still have that capability to be able to essentially push a service ticket out to an individual, to a technician based off our choosing. So that still exists inside of Dispatch HQ here. Cool. I don't have anything else to talk about. I mean, that was a decent demo, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, that was good.
We talked about it. We went over a lot about the journey of TimeZest, how it began in terms of TimeZest scheduling, our need to be able to expand on that because we feel like, scheduling is in a good position. Obviously, there's more enhancements that we want to do to make things bigger and better, but we also needed to expand the product line to be able to make sure that we can get a much bigger part of the journey to be able to really help those MSPs out there, so that those service tickets that get generated get addressed much more sooner, utilizing our existing technologies of the scheduling, taking advantage of the AI capabilities that are out there to help automate and really make things a lot more faster and more efficient. So then we can get to a ticket closure as soon as possible. Obviously, at the end of the day, got to make your clients happy. That's how you guys are going to get paid. So we feel like this is a good contributor to that, so we can get a lot more tickets closed and a lot more clients happier. Don, any final thoughts? Anything else you got?
Final thoughts. If you're a current customer, you'll have access to this. We have the Dispatch HQ tab on your portal, so you guys would just go through and sign the AI addendum that we have, and then we can schedule a call with you and your team to go through the setup of Dispatch HQ, and you guys can start seeing what it looks like with your data. So if you're interested, reach out and let us know. Any questions though from anyone on the call today? Pretty quiet on the chat today.
It is. It was pretty quiet. I think we nailed it pretty well. But I mean, I'm sure when the gears start going, more questions are going to come around. So we're always going to be available, right? So come on to the support chat if you hadn't done so yet. Always talk with a representative there. You have your account managers who you can always have conversations with as well. Don is part of the team that gets customers onboarded with Dispatch HQ, as well as the new customers who are coming in, signing up and stuff like that. I'm myself as well. I'm tapped into that also, because Don, you're going for a week out next week, so I'm going to be taking your spot to be able to help you out. So we're all in it together. Okay, so if any questions that y'all have, any thoughts, consulting as well. All right, that's the thing that we also want to make sure that is open to you guys. So if you had any questions about, not only the scheduling of what you're doing today with TimeZest scheduling, if you want to learn more about that, we offer free of charge consulting time with Joe, with Don as well. I don't know if you do that, Don. Do you kind of offer yourself as a consultant in a way?
More than happy to, if need be. Yeah, I definitely don't mind.
You can. Yeah, exactly. And also too, I mean, when it comes to Dispatch HQ with this new product, this is something you're interested in, want to learn more, again, reach out to us. We're more than happy to be able to speak with anybody within the team to be able to help out. I want to see if there's anything else.
There was one question in the chat, Jason, from Haley.
Yeah, is there an additional cost associated with it? Yes, there is an additional cost. You can always check out our pricing on our website, and also too, we understand that there are some specials out there, some deals we can work out with, but certainly take a look at that. Start with the website just to get an understanding about what the products are, and then speak with our account managers, because we can always figure out what would be best, what situation will be best for you and your situation. Is it going to work out for you? And also too, is there a way that we can cut a deal to see how it could be even more enticing for you?
We built it out so you can keep paying for scheduling and give triage and dispatch a trial run, right? So keep that in mind.
Yep. Cool. That's all that we had. I think I'll just leave it up for any other questions out there. But I mean, really to tie everything else up, put it in a bow and package it up into a good session here today. We're always happy to speak about other topics. We'll start to market the next open office hours and what that topic is going to be. This will also be recorded for those that couldn't make it. We're going to be posting this recording out there, I believe, on YouTube, if we still do that. Again, I haven't done this in a while, so I don't know if we still do that. But it's going to be there, and we're always happy to talk it through. And you put another comment. Yeah. Okay. So you got the pricing there, Don, to share with everybody. So, Don, thanks again. Thanks for everything, for the nice conversation that we had. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise.
Yeah. Thank you as well for the audience joining in today's session. Really, really happy you guys are our customers, and we're always happy to be able to take care of you in any way that we can. So on to the next one. Thank you very much, everybody. You guys have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Jason. Take care, everyone.